Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, we go to let pop culture lair.
Happy remnants of Wednesday. Ooh, hold on. Oh, that's there. Welcome to the Midnight Express. I'm your host, William. We're going to be talking just anything you guys want to talk to, but since it's the Wednesday before the last Peacemaker of the season, I thought we'd do what we did last week. Have some fun talking about the ramifications of that, while still having fun with it, you know. I know most of our predictions are going to not be true because that's the way those things go. But I think we can still have some fun. I'm going to go ahead and say hi to the chat. Oh, by the way, if you want to host your own Sci-Fi Center watch party, then there's a link. You can donate to the link and submit your movie. And if we deem it something that we can watch, we will show it. If not, we will get a refund. We got Clint's birthday coming up on the 22nd, I think, or 23rd. 23rd, we'll be doing Howard the Duck. And I have Friday. I have this Friday. I have 2 spots for this Friday, and I have 2 spots for Sunday. So if you want to do it, there's the link. It's in the description as well. And speaking of Clint, there's Duck. William looks like it's most likely going to be Paramount. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for WB to be bought by another studio. Because of the consolidation factor, and plus I think that I am almost certain that it's going to cause instability in the product because, you know, especially if it's the Ellerson family. I mean, you know, those guys have massive egos, and you know, nobody's going to tell them that they can't do something better than the last guy. So I fear that it will disrupt things. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good idea. And if somebody was going to purchase it, like I said, somebody like an Apple or Microsoft would have been better because they do not currently. Apple has their own studios, but nowhere near to what Warner Brothers is. So it would still be, it would technically wouldn't be another studio owning another one. And Microsoft, I think, could do a lot better if they would. But like you said, none of them really wanted it. I also think that the Comcast and the Netflix rumors were bullshit. I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think they were just trying to drive up the price. So no, I don't think it's a good thing. Is it me? The doorway is getting bigger and bigger. I think so. I believe so, and I think there's a reason that is going to get revealed tomorrow night of why that is the case. I think times 2, maybe. I don't know. All right, so I am probably going to watch this episode at 6:00 tomorrow. Just get ahead of all the nonsense. Spoilers don't really bother me, but I'm just really interested in to see it, and plus it's an hour long. And then I'll be watching it again with you guys. So, like I said, I'm open to whatever's going on. I don't need it to be a certain thing. I don't need it to, fit my narrative. I just want to have some fun with it. I know there's a lot of rumors going around for people who think, said they've seen it. I don't really want to deal with those people today, simple because I just want to have fun with it tomorrow. I'm really close to being able to see something for the first time in a long time where I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's like some of that's kind of part of the fun of it. There's scoopers and there's rumors and all kinds of stuff like that. Like I said, spoiling is not going to ruin it for me, but it would be nice every now and then to just be able to watch something unfold as it happens. So hopefully I can get to that point tomorrow, 6 p.m. X2, like in what, X-Men 2? Well, Pab Amdi and DeLuca got their contracts renewed. Well, James Gunn, Peter Gunn, I don't know. I would assume why wouldn't they all get them done at the same time? And because some of Gunn's movies were part of that, I don't know. And that's when I reposted that and I saw that and I'm like, if I were to see something like that happen with James Gunn, I'd feel a lot safer about investing long-term time into the DCU. Right now, as much fun as I am having, I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything, especially with when you're talking about selling the company and everybody. I don't know why everybody is so naive. I don't think people are stupid. I just think they come up with stupid shit. If you think that this guy's going to come in, anybody's going to come in, spend that kind of money, and just leave things be, there's going to be some changes. Now, to what degree the Ellison family would change things, if they are indeed the purchasers, I don't know, but I find it highly doubtful that there will be no changes and that they would not come in with at least some of their own vision. I would hope that if that's the case, they at least start at one end of the company and eventually get to DC Studios, but who knows? Anybody that tries to tell you that a new boss will not come in and change things has not been paying attention to the last 3 times a new boss has come in and changed things when it comes to DC. So I think I think for the stability of the product, it would be good to lock him in. However, if you are selling the company and potential buyers don't want to be saddled with your decision making in that particular department, they're okay with Abdi and DeLuca. Those are the type of people that they might hire anybody anyway. And when they got their contracts extended, I can't help to not believe that whoever the potential buyers are or were maybe in on that. I don't know, because you got them for the foreseeable future. And is that what you want for your company? Do you want to inherit? How are you going to be having a company up for sale and lock me down with some people that I may or may not want on any of your departments? So I'm assuming that any prospective buyers had no issue with Abdi and DeLuca being re-signed. But then it leads to my other question: why are we not locking up James Gunn? He's coming in with a 10-year program. If the 10-year program doesn't mean anything to me if I don't think he's going to be around for 10 years, and not because of any fault of his own, it's because, like I said, new sheriffs hire new deputies. It's just the way it is. So yeah, I would like to see that happen with him. Yep, 57 minutes, 54 minutes actually, whatever it is. Why is the finale 4 hours late? What do you mean? It should be on 6 o'clock tomorrow, right? Yeah, it should be on 6 o'clock, Noggin. They could, but they'd have to pay them out. And they got the money. But why? I mean, you could do that, but I'm thinking that if there's a prospective group of buyers, these guys are, they may not be the final decision making, but they're in the know because that affects whether what they're going into. I mean, if you're in the cusp of a deal and you're signing some people that they don't want, that's kind of weird. But but yeah, when you terminate people's contracts, you got to pay them out anyway. So they got that kind of money. So what are you talking about, Noggin? Clarify. You're typing words in the chat, so I need to know what the clarification of. Are you asking someone in the chat? What am I talking about? If you're asking me, I'm literally saying it while I'm on the air. So clarify, Noggin. I still expect Superman to be there. And it's not going to be, the Overman, because I think we're done with that division. I think it's gonna be Superman. Could be Brainiac. You know, what I would like to see, and I think it's low percentage, would be Darkseid. But I don't think there's, I don't think that's a high possibility of something like that. I would like to see something from the old universe to the point where it's out there and that you can complete it. But those are low percentage. But Superman definitely. Like I said, as far as like the ones that would make sense, but then there could be things that we don't expect. I mean, like we were talking last night with the Absolute Universe, just to have a silhouette of Absolute Batman with the axe and the spikes on his shoulder, that's enough. That's all you need. 2 seconds of that would be great. So it's gonna be hard to see. Like I said, I really don't know. I really don't know. Pay them out, just let Gunn do a Brainiac move for. I mean, he would do that anyway. But once again, that doesn't have anything to do with with Abdi and DeLuca, because that's a different division of the company. Oh, he definitely won't be around post merger. He's going to get his payout. He's going to get his golden parachute, and that's what I mean. There's going to be somebody in his position that may or may not want to inherit anybody. I mean, they may keep Abdi and Luca have been in the industry for a long time, and they have a resume as filmmakers, so they've already. But when it comes to DC, I mean, you may have a fanboy in David Ellison that might want to have imparted. I don't know, but until I know that, I'm not going to dig my heels into the DC product. As far as DC Studios goes, I'm going to enjoy what I have, and if we get more, we get more. But I'm not going to. I am as close to jumping off of the DCU as I am to hanging on, simply because I don't know what I'm hanging on to. Let's see. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, it will make sense. We haven't had a Brainiac on a cinematic screen. I mean, we should have already, but we don't. We haven't. So it's very possible it could be. Especially with with them hinting that's the main the character for Man of Tomorrow. Well, whatever adventure Darkseid is part of is a serious adventure. I mean, look at DC. I don't know if you guys are reading DC Comics right now, but man, what they're doing in Darkseid is splendid. He is, if Darkseid is there, he is. You can't get any more serious than him. But like I said, that's a long shot. Ooh, allergies. I've been fighting these allergies all week. The problem with this merger news is no new Gunn and Saffron getting their contracts extended, already causing some fan. Well, they should worry about them. I mean, especially if you like it, especially if you're having fun with it, especially if you came over from the old DCEU and you didn't want to get anywhere near this pool because you didn't feel like having the water drained out as you're on the diving board. Do you have reason to be, because of what's happened before? And then people are telling you, well, they would never do that. They're full of shit. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that what is going to be what happened, but there's a possibility because it's happened before. We are here because the ground was pulled out from under us before several times. And if you spend billions, $40 to $50 billion on a company and another 20-something odd $1 billion in debt, you have the right to do whatever you want to with your property. And there's nothing saying that they're going to keep anybody in place. Like Rational said, yeah, Abdi and Luca just got signed, but people can get bought out. And Ellison's one of the richest people in the world. They could buy out whatever contract that they've signed. Anybody, they could buy them out. Now, a smaller company would be a lot harder, but the Ellisons have a lot of money. But once again, it's disruption. If I get the sense that things are going to get disrupted to get them out, so. Brady, and I just can't wait to when the show comes out, and it'll be the highlight of every. Oh yeah, Lanterns. Yeah, I hope it's a Sunday night show. By the way, I don't like this. I don't like this midweek shit. I like the Sunday night show. I like Sunday night is just HBO has established Sunday night into something special. I hope Lanterns is on Sunday, but it doesn't matter. Whatever Lanterns is, is put. That's where William's watching, and we will be doing live.
It is going to be on Sundays.
I hope so. I don't know. We don't even have a fucking trailer yet, so I'm waiting for that. But yeah, wherever Lanterns is, we're watching it. And we're gonna do live parties. I'm not live, depending on when it is, when my availability. I hope it's. I would like to do live watch parties, but it doesn't. Might not matter. New season of Monster does a direct influence to Mindhunter rewarding any fan. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Is that the one that I put? I got so many things in my queue. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah, David Lindelof hasn't let me down, and like I said, even when he let me down, he only let me down halfway, and that was.
I mean, the big thing for me, and we haven't seen this yet, is I want to see what they're going to look like, in the Green Lantern suits. Let's see it. Let's see.
I mean, I'm just accepting that that's going to be cool. I mean, I'm not really like anticipating
say what you will about the 2011 movie. But like one through line of like all live action Green Lantern stuff we've seen so far between that movie and Zack Snyder's Justice League, I really hope they keep the practice, because I really like that the suit is created through CGI, because I really like the idea of the idea that the suit itself, presenting it live action, it's very true to the comics, the idea that the suit is made of energy. The suit itself is a construct of the lantern, of the power ring.
I see that as happening. I see that being James Gunn's work. I see him, I don't think he's going to try to dull it down like a non-comic book head with. I think
but again, like what we say, all the suits in the 2011 movie, the Alan Gur suit, the image of Wayne T. Carr, it's like all those are CGI suits. And again, it's like that's a choice with this, because it's like the idea is they want to convey that the suit is made of energy, which this is the character to do that with. So I really hope they maintain that. And
they could also just go with a regular leatherish whatever, and because the suit can do that, the ring can make that kind of suit too. It all depends. I don't think that I'm anticipating the suit's going to be fine.
Yeah,
but it's not going to be a deal killer.
Actually, I did miss up there. Guy Gardner, Superman. That's the whole like Justice Gang kind of.
We don't count that. Yeah, because that's not what he would look like.
But I think we could presume safely that he can create a lantern suit, from the power ring, though.
Yeah, he's probably created that one from the power ring. William, we'll see how Jordan. I'm ready. Fuck. I mean, if he's there.
Well, you want to go ahead and dive into the which, by the way,
I've already did.
Yeah, you forgot your tinfoil.
It's been a rough allergy day. I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't have any in the cupboard or anything. So, fortunately, but
might have reason to wear it after. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's definitely. I mean, I've been watching other. I was talking to William a little bit ago before we came on. I was watching other YouTubers talk about it tonight. It's like, yeah, there might be craziness, cameos.
Yeah, like I said, everybody says they got it inside. They know what's going to happen. And I'm like, I don't care.
The noisiest pants in the world.
Oh no, fuck you with that. No, I really don't feel like.
See, I'm really wondering, like, what's that whole gingerbread universe all about? Because some of these are clearly meant to be like not like. These are just throwaways. Like we just open a doorway and there's just some.
I think all the ones you've seen are probably throwaways. I think the ones you haven't seen are going to be the ones where they're just. I think the other ones where they open them up, slam, open up, slam. Like that. The skull thing is probably going to end up meaning nothing.
Yeah, that's. Although it's interesting with that, because I mean, there was one thing I saw floating around Twitter where now this might be people read too much into it, but the thing was like something to the effect of like, if you look at like the bottom like left hand corner, you could see something like crosses down there, and Creature Commandos had like the T's of all the characters crucified. So it's like, wait a minute, is this where Superman and Wonder Woman and everybody's crucified?
It gets kind of crazy because you got people that are, it's like a language or something like that. You can get one. You get a bunch of people that look at the drawings in the cave and come out with something else, and then somebody else can come in there and be like, no, this is what they meant. It can get kind of crazy when it is, because we just don't have a lot of the information, and a lot of this information and pictures and visuals that we have are put out of sequence. They're put out of sequence, and they're focused on, like I said, I can give you a trailer with some useless shit in it, and then when you go see the episode of the movie, yeah, that stuff's in there, but it's like about a millisecond. And then there's some really crazy stuff that they never gave you a hint of. That's like, whoa, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that trailer. That last trailer was useless, and it was meant to.
The idea that you think and hope that that it's meant to be misleading. It's like it shows us like gingerbread land. It shows us,
and that's going to be like 2 seconds of that. They're going to go in there and they're going to get chased out of there. They're going to open the door with the skull.
Chased out there by the gingerbread man, probably,
or something. I mean, and then there's going to be because like I said, and that's what happens when you don't want if you've gone through all of this, these efforts to keep it out of people's pages and all that, then why would you give up anything at this point? You're just going to do it on the actual episode itself, which is what I think they're going to do. And I think like I said, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night because it's just really hard to swerve me because we're constantly staring at this shit. We're constantly talking about this stuff.
He said he talked about on social media he's iterated like nobody's guessed yet like what this entails or what's going to be seen or what have you. That's paraphrasing, but he said he's very proud of himself for keeping people in the dark on this.
And like I said, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to do that because you got people who run around the internet that make it their job to spoil things for people. And I'm like, why did we know? Or it's more like, well, I want to be the one with the info. I'm like, I just want to have fun. To be honest with you, I've stripped this down to the basics of what it is. It's entertainment. It's there. It's you look at it, you view it, you listen to it, and if you like it, then you talk about it. But it's become like a strategy session. These shows are not like it's not like a strategy session that we're going into D-Day or something with. It's content. It's fun. Why ruin it for people, or why talk it to death to the point where you've choked all the life out of it? I think we've been very careful with our conversations. We watch, then we discuss. We keep the conversation limited to what we've seen. The episodes we've seen, and we refer to the previous 7 episodes that we have sat here to watch together. But as far as all the other conspiracy theories and stuff like that, it's fun to throw things out. But like I believe that almost none of our shit is going to be anywhere close. It's going to be some crazy stuff.
Or if we're like one thing I think I can see like a lot of guesses like being like partially like people might have like guessed things, but it doesn't happen in the way they're expecting.
Yeah, you might because of the fact that he is dealing in a comic book universe that we are all familiar with. So just based on that, our odds of hitting something in the dark are maybe 30%.
Yeah,
but it's still the dark. We're still in the dark. We're still aiming. We're not even aiming. So no.
Yeah, like I threw out. I was joking around with this. I said like, Shaq might show up because he did the pre.
That would be stupid, but yeah.
Well, he did the commercial with Shaq. The Shaq was Steel, so it's like, that was in jest. I mean, but that might, if that happens, it might be something like, Shaq appears, but he's like he appears as like he's not in like the steel suit. He appears as like, I went on that one mission to retire because that movie I was in was stupid or something.
I hate that character. I'm sorry, people.
I hate that movie.
I know there are people who love that.
That movie is the worst. Most people pin it to like either Batman or Robin or Catwoman. That movie is the worst DC movie. It's Steel.
Even if you take
the worst DC movie.
Even if you take the Steel movie out of it, all those characters that came from Reign of Superman and just really when I still got, like I said, I got coasters of so many of those issues that everybody thought was going to be worth Steel. I don't like the Superboy that came out of that, and I hated that story. The only thing good that came out of that storyline was the destruction of Coast City, which led to Kyle Rayner becoming Green Lantern. Other than that, I don't want to see Steel on TV again or in a movie.
I loved him on Superman and Lois.
I thought that was,
and that was a redemption because that movie is that bad. That movie is. If you haven't seen Steel from '97.
Why I knew it now, but
yeah. Why? It's like you're not missing anything. Trust me.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, you're black. Why don't you like Steel?" Because the character's lame. Sorry, black characters.
I'm white. There's Superman movies I don't like.
I mean, I just think sometimes if the concept of the character is just something I'm not.
Oh, fuck that! No, that you cannot attribute the badness of that movie to the concept. You're just saying like the movie is like is bad.
No, I'm not even bringing up the movie. The movie doesn't mean anything
conceptually
to
as a
me. I'm talking
character.
about the character. The character without the movie is conceptually lame for me. I have no use for that character. Lanterns is confirmed to be an HBO Sunday night. Okay, cool. If that was, I mean, that's what it should be. That's what Peacemaker should have been, as far as I'm concerned.
How's it going, Aaron?
Hold on, let's go from top to bottom because last night I skipped a whole bunch of people.
Okay.
Hello, Hosea. Nah. We're I think we've already. I think Homelander is worn out. That type of character, to be honest with you. One more Peacemaker.
Yes.
Not letting any speculation become my. Yeah, that's it. Like you say, we have some fun. I am not going to be disappointed if 100% of my predictions are all, which is going to be the likelihood, are all wrong, because it was fun to even have that conversation. And I think that's where we should limit these things, is understand we're having this conversation. It's just fun. It's not a clout thing. It's not I found out before you thing. Who fucking cares, dude? Did you have fun when you saw it? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We need to go back to that. To just really, if you're into these imaginary characters, talking dogs and people made of mud and flying aliens and stuff, if you're into these things for any other reason than to have some fun, it's probably time to step back and pick up a new hobby, in my opinion. This is somebody who makes money off of that hobby. If you're in it for any other reason than just to have fun and maybe collect a couple of things, just you might as well go on something else that makes you happy. Hello, Koala. Yeah, and like I said, I could be 100% wrong, but it makes sense that he would be there.
Of course, someone's gonna die, definitely.
I don't think anybody's gonna die. That's the thing that I thought that I think that's going to be the ultimate twist. I don't think, because there's no reason for any of these people to die. None of their deaths are going to mean anything. None of their deaths are going to mean anything. The only one whose death would have meant anything would have been Adrian back in the other world. But they've gone a different direction in that character. There's no, obviously Peacemaker's not going to die. Common's dying. Who fucking cares? He was worthless that last episode. What, Judo Man? I mean, there's nobody in there that will be like, oh shit, I'm shaken to the core by them dying. You might see somebody living. I mean, you might see a fucking a Flag Jr. come through from a different universe. I don't know, but none of those people dying, other than the ones that that they're not going to touch, would mean anything. So I don't think they're going to do that. But like I said, once again, could be 100%. They could open up the episode where they're all dead. And we're watching a post-mortem, and they show I think you're wondering how I got here type of situation. I don't know. It could be.
No, fourth my favorite movie is Booty Call.
Okay. What do we do?
Well, and we also got like somebody else down here. I'm not going to bring up is their name, but the comment is, I know the cameo. It's going to be Obama's Cal, so that would be huge.
I mean, that's a huge name, obviously, because it's President Obama. I don't know, man. I'm not the biggest. I say if we're gonna do a Black Superman, do a Black Kryptonian, do something to where you're going to have to really be very creative to write that, because once again, you're talking as somebody who would love to see the Black experience through the eyes of a Superman. You're going to have to tell the story. And there are going to be some things around the story that not everybody's going to be happy with. But if you're going to be true to what you're doing, then you have to tell it that way. And if they're not going to do that, then just don't do it. In my opinion, that's just me. Oh, what's up? Only 2 current DC projects I'm looking forward to.
Imagine if that's the cameo's Keanu is Keanu's
Batman. Long shot, but once again, not taking anything off the table. The Batman, that's easy. That easily could be there because you already have the footage there.
Yeah.
You have footage that we haven't even seen that Matt really have cut that we can use and just
and that's the thing I've previously said about a lot of like potential multiverse cameos, is that a lot of these don't need to be like newly filmed material. It can be just like open a door, like play archive footage of something, and then close that door just to establish, okay, that's out there. That's its own thing. That's not Gunn's DCU, but that is an existing DC universe.
We're gonna have to start using a buzzer every time you use the word multiverse, Brad. Because
I'm not. It's out in the ether.
Elseworlds. Say it, Brad. Say it.
Elseworlds.
There you go. Because Marvel's already fucked up the multiverse word. Okay? So, and you have to, if this is going to be successful, it has to be branded as something that is exclusively DC. Even though Multiverse was DC, it's been hijacked and, you know, twisted and turned and to whatever Marvel needed it to be. Elseworlds is something else DC created that is exclusive to DC. It's not just a term, it's a brand. I think they should be using that more. I think the fans, start a movement. Fans should be using the word Elseworlds so that we it is something that is always going to be DC. But yeah, as far as Constantine, I doubt it. But like I said, I'm promised that this is going to be a wild I don't know about this, Mighty Max, because his Hooded Justice came from the same, as far as I can understand, came from the same inspiration as Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was the Lone Ranger, or was rumored to be the one of the elements that the creator of the Lone Ranger used, because Bass Reeves was a ranger. He was a U.S. Marshal during the time and in the Midwest and the South. But at the time that he was writing that story, obviously we weren't in a good place when it comes to Black folks who are representing us. So what I've heard is that the mask represents the hidden identity of what was supposed to be read. The black mask is hiding the real black man's identity that was the Lone Ranger, because a lot of people believe, and if you look at it, Bass Reeves was the inspiration for Lou Gossett's character that was Hooded Justice. So John Henry's plot I don't believe had anything to do with it, because obviously Bass Reeves had been around for 150 years as far as representation. And if you look at Watchmen, he literally uses that character. He literally uses that character, and that character was from Oklahoma. So I'd have to look into that, Mighty Rex, but I'm pretty sure he used the real life Bass Reeves. William, what happens to HBO and Showtime brands post-merger? Do they combine in the two? I don't know. I really don't want to think about this fucking merger, because I think it's a bad idea. And the more I think about it, is the more I see what the Ellison family wants to do. I really don't want them owning anything else. I think it's going to be bad for the industry. I think it's going to be bad for creative. I think it's going to be bad all around. The only thing I think will benefit is Star Trek, because Ellison's a Star Trek fan. He kind of likes what's been going on. But other than that, I don't want to see anybody. I would rather somebody without vision, some pencil neck from Microsoft or Amazon, somebody buy it and basically say, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We don't have a vision. We know you do. And then we just go from there. And if the money's not there, if the number's not there, and they want to replace people after that, that's one thing. But to do it, what it could end up happening under anybody else will be doing it because basically they can. And that's what people with like that kind of money do. They do shit because they can. And I still get the fantasy people who are like, they're going to look at what Superman made and they're going to be like, we can't get rid of him. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Have you not been paying attention to these people? Let's go back to 2013. Let's go back to pre-AT&T disaster. You know, let's follow that string where it started and where it ends up now. And the 30-some odd billion dollars that kind of fell off to the wayside on its way there. So yeah, until I see people are locked in and I know who the owner of the company is, I'm just gonna have fun in the present tense. I would like to see more of this. I would like to see more lanterns, especially if I love it like I'm going to. But I'm not gonna look beyond this. I'm not fully invested in this universe. If there's an announcement tomorrow that, you know what, the universe is over with, then I'm like, hey, part of me was like, okay, I expected that. But if you come out and tell me that all involved are going to be here for a very long time, and not just I think so, not just some YouTuber saying, well, they're going to, not just some blogger, the actual people who pay the people say that this guy is going to be here for his plan. Here's a contract. Here's a signature. Happy to have you for the next decade or whatever was up. Absent of that, I'm just along for the ride until you turn down that dark neighborhood, and then I'm getting the fuck out of the vehicle. But yeah, I don't know what's going to be. Keanu launching a Justice League Dark would be sick. Would never happen. I don't think that would ever happen. To be honest with you, I don't see that as happening. But who knows? Yeah, who did they turn that into Abney and the Luca? Because that's not going to be a DC Studio thing because they were negotiating.
Yeah, that's
outside of James
I
Gunn,
couldn't
so.
tell you that. I mean, Keanu kind of gave a little bit of an update recently. He said, "Yeah, we got a new draft I like, I'm happy with, and
Yeah.
we're gonna run it by the the people who write the checks." So
I'm not a big fan of Justice League Dark. To be honest with you, I am a fan of those. I'm a fan of those characters and some of their stories together, but I don't see the need to rush into or anytime soon to do a Justice League Dark. I mean, some of the cartoons are cool, but get the Justice League right first. I don't need you thinking about Justice League anything other than the standard Justice League before you start branching off and because the basis of Justice League Dark was the Justice League. They're people that were associated with
that's why they're called the Justice League Dark.
Exactly. So I don't even want personally. If it was me, I want no mention of Justice League Dark before Justice League. Yeah, so
Which, by the way, I think that was another project in the pipeline or in consideration during the Hamada era when they weren't doing anything Justice League proper. They said, okay, well, it's like, what else we got in the fridge?
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who are like, we should do just and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You're gonna start this new universe and bring in the other 98 percenters with some Justice League Dark shit, just because you, as a 3%er, know what it is. How are we selling this to the general public? We ain't selling. I mean, how much money did Constantine make back 20-something years ago? And he's even said we're going to stay away from some of the obscure characters for when it comes cinematically. So that eliminates almost every member of the Justice League Dark. You're saying could be with other people's millions. That's, like I said, it's cool to say that in the YouTube chat room, but if it's my money, you come in here with Justice League, it better not have Dark at the end of it. Not before Justice League does. I mean, it's just not worth the risk, man. Yeah. See, I don't know how that's gonna work because I know he was negotiating, and the negotiations didn't include God at one point. Do I think J.J. Abrams' DC projects such as Justice League Dark and Zatanna are a rise swap? I don't know.
Do you think what do you think will be made? Yeah.
Well, there's contracts, so I don't know what none of us know what the contract entails. I mean, fanboys like to say, well, that'll never happen. But like I said, that's why we're sitting in these seats and they're sitting in offices with marbles and stuff and gold plates on their names. So there's a contract there. I don't know the specifics of the contract. I couldn't tell you that, Rational. We already saw Justice League Plus. This is Elseworlds, so it doesn't matter about connecting any. Yeah, if you want people to come see it, you need to make a case for them to come see it. You can't just throw some obscure shit on the screen and be like, yeah, that's cool. No, it's got to be, you got to make a case for, connecting it. I mean, if you're talking about like the other stuff, like I said, I still think you have to make a case for the general audience to know about it and go see it. That's why when he said that I'm gonna stray away from some of these obscure characters that aren't the big, the big bangers, I think that's smart. You can do that on HBO Max. You can do that, you can do that anywhere else, but your money makers should not be obscure superheroes. Not without establishing the Trinity first. I should not see an obscure superhero that does not lead to a mainline character for a while. Clayface is going to lead to Batman, so I'm good there. That's really there's nothing else out there that's and when we get Batman, Brave and the Bold, or whatever the hell it's going to be called, Wonder Woman, all those things lead to the mainline characters. Even if Paradise Lost isn't necessarily a direct Wonder Woman story, it leads to it. It's the foundation of Wonder Woman. So yeah. Yeah. I'm at the point now where I'm not going to take everything that he says to the finish line because we're still moving. All this is happening. All this is, there's not, he never really gives enough information out there for me to have a conversation about as far as the Justice Society goes. Which Justice Society is he talking about? Are they? What time are we talking about? There's a lot of things I would need to answer. Other because looking at that mirror, I could twist my brain into a pretzel fuck because I don't have any information. So. Yeah. No, you wouldn't even get past the secretary with a jet. Why would I do that now? I'm trying to turn into something that's financially viable. I have to do that first. Before I can go off into these leadless characters, I have to establish a reason for the general public to come see it. Now at Clayface, you're not spending any money. But would you want to? Why do I want? If in order for me to do a JL Dark, I'd have to make it low budget because there's no justification for me putting those characters ahead of a standard Justice League or the Foundation of Justice. It's just not going to happen. So why would I take that? I don't understand why you would guys. What would be the justification? Not your opinion. Opinions don't mean shit. What is your financial justification for going against what he has said as far as obscure characters and things like that goes? I don't have to make the case to the audience. Who are we selling this to? Leprechauns? The audience on any of these formats, that they matter. They're, whether it be on PVOD or anything, I have to make a case to the audience, the general audience, and it's got to be a familiar enough case to where they're going to go see it. And you're comparing the DCU, which has been around 8 decades on every platform known to man, to The Conjuring, which is that I should stop right there. So no, your case collapses on the weight of the comparisons that are not even valid. I can't even believe you put the Conjuring universe in the same sentence as what we're talking about, because you're talking about something that is instantly recognizable to everyone versus the Conjuring universe, which was, you look at the money it makes good money, but it's not a global phenomenon. It's not something that's been handed around for generation after generation since 1938 and the 40s. So yeah, it's gotta have a different approach there. Brad William, the old regime gave $500 million to J.J. Abrams to produce content. 250. Well, like I said, we don't know that. No, that has never been. The explicit terms of his contract have never been publicized. It's illegal. You don't, your agents.
Well, as far as whose fault it is, it's theirs. It's the.
Well, we don't know how much has changed hands. We don't know how much is based on what. We don't know what contingency any of this is based on. I think when we start talking about James or J.J. Abrams' $500 million contract with the previous regime, most of us are talking out of our asses because none of us will ever know the specifics of those contract negotiations. We don't know what do we know what expires? Do we know how much he gets and what what was the time window? There's just so many things that we don't know about. It's just a bunch of conjecture. That's why I generally don't get into that conversation when it comes to those, because I don't know anything. I know what the internet knows, and once you start digging through that, it's usually nothing.
Well, I mean, what is publicly known is they signed a contract to produce.
That doesn't mean shit. You don't know the terms.
Stuff was not produced.
If you don't know the terms of the contract, you shouldn't be talking about the contract. You're literally talking out of your ass if you don't know the terms of the contract. If you don't know the length of the contract, if you don't know the stopgaps in the contract, if you don't know anything in the contract, you're just basically reverberating what the internet is saying. I was not in there when they signed the contract. I don't have, just as like the Sony and the Spider-Man contract. Nobody knows the specifics of the contract, but you always have people blowing facts out of their ass that nobody's ever released publicly. What we know based on what we don't know about that contract is probably more substantial than what's been passed around irresponsibly on the web. This is why I don't bring it up on here. I don't know the specifics of the contract. I don't know how much money changed hands. I don't know. And when you start using the building blocks of what you don't know and match it up to what some bullshit on the web, then it really starts to look tiny by comparison. So like I said, if you don't know, you don't know. I don't know. Hi, Music Man. William thinks there's only one universe. No. What? Okay, guys, you got to get please when you're making your point. I don't make them like limericks and shit and riddles. What are you saying? William thinks there's only one universe. I don't know what William you're referring to. Reeves Batman versus a thing and didn't homie gun say Elseworlds is a thing? Okay, I clarify, please. Yeah, but Hosea, you don't represent everybody. So you know, J.J. Abrams is still a draw. People still pay J.J. Abrams a lot of money to mainly produce things now through this, through the studio. This is not relevant though. We're not talking horror. We're not talking the Conjuring universe. So you got to keep the conversation where the conversation is. You're making a horrible comparison to try to make your point for a genre that has nothing to do with this. It's your opinion, and that's fine, but you ain't running shit. There's a reason why he didn't start with an obscure superhero. Right? There's a reason why cinematically, when you see his stuff, it's going to be either the mainline characters or people that are really adjacent to the mainline characters. All this other obscure shit, he might do it, but he's not gonna, spend that kind of budget on that. I mean, great. I love horror too, but what the hell does that have to do with DC and the priorities of DC films? Just because The Conjuring did well with what it is expected of The Conjuring doesn't mean it has anything to do with creating a superhero universe. We saw a guy who worked on that universe try to run a superhero universe, and that didn't work out well. Yeah, that kind of. I'm happy to see that for him, but that's a goal that they should have had like about 3 or 4 years ago. Hello, other Aussie. I think. I mean, those are my guesses, but once again,
Yeah,
I think
none
awesome. of my. I think I'm going to go over 100. I think everybody's going to go over 100. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to figure out what James Gunn's going to say, but our YouTube opinions are based on primarily other YouTubers in most cases, which is not the well of knowledge that it should be. I never got into those movies. I support those movies.
I dislike many of them, but it's like they just weren't really my speed as far as horror movies.
No, we're not talking about Forbes. I do not give a fuck about
but that went crazy. I knew that was going to blow the hell up.
Banned. No, to answer your question, I'm sorry, Bill. That's not what you came here for. I have no desire to speak on that.
I'll be only honestly honest. I DM'd William like when that article dropped, and I said, "Oh, it looks like they maybe popping the champagne on the profit margin a little early."
Yeah, the bottom line is it did what it needed to do for them. Whether we can comprehend that or not, it did what it needed to do for that company. So, William, besides some of the DC animated stuff and Reeves Gothamverse, there really isn't elsewhere projects development. I can't say that with any certainty, though. I'm not in the office. Elsewhere live action before few. No, we don't know that. Rational. What would you base that on, though? See what I'm saying? Is right now while we're on this YouTube channel, James Gunn could be in his pajamas in his office in Burbank with a whiteboard with a bunch of crazy shit on it that he's got planned, timed down. He could have a bunch of other people in there taking notes, and he could have them on Skype. He could be a whole bunch of things happening right now that we won't know about till it's time for us to know about. So these projects you speak of could be in various degrees of development or none at all. We don't know that, so I can't. What he's shown us, but there's no way that this man's not working on a lot of different things. He has to. By the time we find out about him, they're months and months in development. So, Weasel, I mean, that wouldn't be I mean, he could be. There's a difference between a cameo and a cameo that actually means something. You know what I mean? Like there's different levels of cameos that would be like, oh, you okay? Like Harley Quinn seeing Margot Robbie, which I don't think is going to happen. That to me is consistent because that universe is where he overlapped. Seeing Superman would be significant, even though it wouldn't be unexpected. But like I said, I'm looking for tomorrow night. I might be disappointed. It's something to be like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. Kind of cameo. I think they're all stretches, son of. I think they're all stretches. I think everything we're saying in this chat is a stretch. And then he's already said some of the people who have guessed specifically have been wrong, so you can eliminate those right at the top. Yeah, I think there'll be a live action creature. I'm surprised we hadn't seen them earlier in the season.
You know, we've already got Rick Flag in there, so it's like, I mean, that's already technically we've got some live action.
Well, I'm talking about the whole crew, though. You know, Rick Flag, because you've only seen two of them in live action. You've only seen the two. You've seen Weasel, and you've seen Rick Flag with blonde hair. So I'm surprised, given that he's associated, that story that led right from there. I'm surprised. I was really thinking I was going to see Geo Ride Robot when they were fighting the Nazis. That thing would have been cool. But yeah, I given that Rick Flag Sr. originates in that story, and the very next time you see them was Peacemaker, I'm really surprised we hadn't seen the Creature Commandos live action. At least like in a cameo in the office. Like, is there anything you want us to do, boss? I mean, things like that. You know, no, we're going to let Argus say. I mean, something. We didn't get anything, so I was kind of surprised there. I'm sorry, Bill. I just don't care about that topic. It adds nothing to my show anymore. It adds absolutely nothing to my show. It hurts my head. I'm tired of talking about that particular topic, and it's ultimately meaningless. There are people who will try to carve meaning into that Forbes article, but it's ultimately meaningless. Really, what it is.
Well, there are people who try to carve meaning in the art article. I get back from the other way too.
And like, unlike those other people, I don't fucking care. So we're not going to talk about it. Let's see. James Tools. Skipping. What the money that WD board members give James for the DC studios isn't unlimited, so he's going to use the prize as a DCU content. Well, it's all his baby. See, you're viewing it as if there's this studio, and the other things that are in the periphery aren't something he's going to either bring in or be dealing with. So if he does an Elseworlds, that's DC Studios. Anything he does like that, that he brings into his story, is DC Studios. Now, there might be a situation where, you know, it might go up to Abdi and DeLuca with Warner Brothers, but generally, he's going to be in on it. So, you'd have to know what the boundaries of DC Studios is. So, is Constantine a Warner Brothers picture, or is it something that's going to be folded up into DCU? Because technically, the Batman is in the DCU, but it's in an Elseworld. See what I mean? It's all under the same umbrella. It acts. It's like Elseworlds is still DC Comics, even though it's not mainline DC. So you'd have to know what the parameters of his authority or his creative control is, and how that would work in order to know where the money is going to, because I think it's going to be all the same budget. Unless it's designated exclusively and explicitly as a Warner Brothers film, then that's a different pot of money that comes directly from Warner Brothers corporate. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing. Actually, I was kind of, hoping to see the modern version of GI Robot. I think that would have been fun. Yeah, it is. I mean, have we not ran that topic into the ground? I just there's nothing. There's no more juice to squeeze out of that lemon. To be honest with you, I just I read the article and I'm like, okay, sorry. Reminds me when WandaVision first came out, and we expected Magneto and Doctor Strange, especially. Well, dude, I remember so many people got pissed off when they watched Multiverse of Madness, and
Yeah, which I was so sure that Toby was going to be in that coming off.
I won money. I won money that he wasn't going to be.
No Way Home, and then Raimi was directing it. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And not only that,
somebody bet me money, and I'm like, I'm going to take your money.
That's not only that. Here's added trivia for you. I actually wrote an article kind of related to this at the time where it says like Multiverse of Madness was coming out like on the 20-year anniversary of the first Spider-Man. So it's like, okay, on the heels of No Way Home, multiverse movie that Toby is in, 20-year anniversary, same director.
No chance. There was no chance that he was going to be in that movie, and I won $50 because of it. That was before I knew who you were, but like I said, I felt kind of bad because that was the easiest $50 I ever made. Yeah, there was a lot of people that band, but and then the comedies you got were kind of stupid.
Yeah, my audience really they like the whole Illuminati sequence. They really when Peggy drops, I could do this all day. So, yeah, they definitely lost it for that. They were blown away by that.
And then the whole Charles Xavier thing, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I messaged a colleague, one of my colleagues. We're talking about that. So this is the third time at that point. And he's probably got another one coming up. The third time at that point that he got killed as Professor Xavier. And I sent her the one gift from Mad Max Fury Road of Nux going, I live, I die, I live again. That's the experience as Professor Xavier.
And some of the people, because I rented out a theater for this, and so
I that's kind of divisive. I like Multiverse of Madness.
I couldn't get my money back, but yeah,
it's. I mean, like when it comes to like post Endgame MCU movies, like I've had 4. There have been 4 that I would describe as great, or that I would say I loved as opposed to just liked. And those are Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, and Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness was a disappointment. And like I said, it was just basically it was Deadpool. It was what Deadpool and Wolverine were as effective at, but not as effective. And then I had people like, oh, they played the song when Professor X came out. I'm like, I had to fuck with them then. I'm like, oh, do we need to chop your food up into baby food formula so you can eat it now? Your little childhood Professor X and your little Flintstone Kids cartoon got a song and a motion picture. I was fucking with them. I had fun. But no, I didn't. That movie was a disappointment for me. I don't really refer to it.
The end credits
but it didn't. Where the fuck is all that? That
Exactly.
movie's been out for 3 years now. If you'd have redeemed it with like following up, which I think will be the case. But
what else had an end credit scene when there was the first Doctor Strange?
This isn't irrational. Once again, there's nobody I think that can predict what James Gunn is going to do. So when you say William Gunn is going to prioritize the money on his own stories that take place in his own, they're going to be all his stories. And depending on what he writes, he's not going to write and direct everything. There are going to be other people that come in and write scripts, and they're all going to be, he's going to be associated with all of them. And his universe, when you're thinking about the universe, is like me just thinking about the DC mainline universe when I know that there are Elseworlds and there's an absolute universe. It's all part of the scope that is presented to the fan base. It's all going to be his. Unless there's like a special Spielberg or big project that is too big for that studio. But everything associated other than that, it's all going to be his. So, I could clearly, and I think, to be honest with you, Rational, that's what he's going to establish tomorrow night. Is that the DCU isn't just his core universe. It is accessible to other things that will also be the DCU. But you're going to have your Earth One, and then you'll have whatever designation you give the Batman. And whatever designation you give anything other than that, but they're all going to be his. They're all going to be things that he's attached to. Now he can bring in other people to work on these things created, but he's not the director of everything. He's the executive producer. So that none of this structure you're talking about is going to make it. There's going to be collaborations because he's a studio head. Kevin Feige is not writing everything. He's not even directly involved in the scripts most of the time. They get handed in, and he's the executive producer on everything that Marvel does. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think that movie. To me, the movie looked like it was a bad heavy metal video that just didn't really do anything for the song. That's why how I ever describe that movie. All right. Yeah, because like I said, I think tomorrow night the one thing I can be sort of sure on is that there is no singular universe that he's dedicated to. I don't know what and how and what, but I think the whole point of this is that he is going to recognize that there are other universes out there. His stories will primarily take place from one, but those other possibilities out there, if those stories are told, those are going to be part of the DCU as a whole. But the DCU isn't just his universe that he writes directly. The DCU is going to probably be multifaceted, which is what DC strength is. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Armand Roth, long time to see. My prediction for season 2 finale: cameos, Hal Jordan, Booster Gold, Waller. I'm surprised we haven't seen already. That I'm kind of shocked that we haven't seen Viola Davis yet. Harley Quinn, that's a good chance. Blue Beetle's, yeah, Blue Beetle. I don't know in what context Blue Beetle would be there, but I wouldn't be surprised. I can't stand Booster Gold, but I know we're getting him. I know we're getting. I fucking hate that character.
If what happens,
please, Bill? She's talking about that topic that I don't have any use for on this channel. So I'm sorry, Bill. I don't not have a use for you, Bill. I love you, but I just there's nothing to talk about for that topic. What was I saying for you guys distracting me?
Oh, you were talking about how awesome the Furious is going to be when it comes out.
No, Blue Beetle. I can't stand Booster Gold. I cannot stand that character. But I know we're getting him.
And the Blue Beetle, I mean, I was very lukewarm on the Blue Beetle movie. I was like one step above William, but he made that into a verb where he said, I'm going to Blue Beetle.
I would not have paid to see Blue Beetle in the movie under any circumstance. In fact, I waited because me sitting in front of a computer screen was the exact attention that I think I owed that character. And growing up not liking Booster Gold, I cannot stand Booster Gold, but I cannot stand their association with the Justice League. And there are a lot of people that hate me because of that. And I don't give a fuck. I cannot stand those characters. Whenever I saw them, Justice League, okay, time to stop. Time to spend that extra money on an X-Men book. New Mutants is coming up. There you go. I'll get that. When they started messing around with the lineups, like there was one I posted a couple of days ago of the lineup of the Justice League International, and it was like, dude, I've had to fight not vomiting. I cannot stand that lineup. And they're always in it, and it's a fucking comedy show. I hated it. There you go. She's both. Viola Davis there's no reason why she would be both. There's no way. And especially with her daughter being part of the DCU. I mean, yeah, I was really shocked not to see her.
Aaron still has seen Blue Beetle. You weren't there for the watch party, you did?
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Yeah,
it's a nice little good-hearted movie. It doesn't suck, but it was like especially at the time I was getting it, I was like, this is what I'm doing.
It was for me, it was definitely probably the weakest of it was second weakest of maybe third weakest, I should say, of like 2023's DC and Marvel movies. The weakest overall for me, I would say, was Ant-Man and Quantumania, and then a little bit above that was the Marvels, and then Blue Beetle's above that.
See, and the thing about it, if James Gunn had brought in Blue Beetle with what he was doing from now going forward, it would probably have been a little bit, more cohesive. But the reason why they were even doing that character is because they had fucked up everything else. So, yeah. The cameos are probably going to be Justice Gang. That's not really. So when we talk about cameos, like I said, there's different levels. I mean, seeing the Justice Gang and Peacemaker is not. Yeah, technically it's a cameo, but it's like, yeah, okay,
They were just in a movie,
Yeah, if I see Miss Taskmaster in there, I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's nice to see you again. But that's not, I'm not going to be like, let's see, lineups can suck depending on the character. Yeah.
I think in this context, when we talk about cameos, I mean, we're talking about cameos of
Yeah,
that.
things are going to
that,
move the
that
needle.
yeah, or things that are going to be kind of we're not expecting. It's like Justice Gang or Rick Flag or Superman or like who else? Like, anybody who was just in the movie that leads right into this. That's not really
Yeah,
like
they're not.
it's
Yeah.
it's cool to see, but it's not like, oh man, that was like a knockout punch from left field I didn't expect.
I have to be careful how you approach this during the Berlanti Armada era, which okay, we'll get back to that. They had multiple live action flashes, Superman and Batman across the film. No, it didn't. It did not.
No, if anything, it enhanced the potential of the brand. This didn't do anything with it.
It didn't do that either.
Hmm.
All right, guys, I need you to understand this, and I need you to separate my joking of the CW. All right, I need you to understand this, and this is not my usual swipe at this. There's a difference between me making fun of the softcore stuff that was the CW, low budget stuff. There's a difference, and then there's the numbers. There's what it was. All right. Comparatively to cinematic audiences, nobody watched that channel. All right. Your friends watched it. You watched it. You and your dog watched it. Somebody in your YouTube channel, in your group, in your chat, they watched it. Y'all get together and huddle. And it's the greatest thing ever, right? That's great. I do the same thing. There are plenty of things that nobody watched that I think are the greatest things in the world. But when I get the numbers of them, I'm like, ooh, shit. It was me and 10 other people. So you can't dilute a universe if nobody is watching that other thing. Most of the people who will go see a DC movie, especially now going forward, and I guarantee you and I promise you, will have never laid eyes on the CW product. The vast majority of them. So you can't dilute something when nobody knows about it. You can't really water something down when there's no water. Nobody watched that channel. Comparatively with you to the point where we're like, oh, you know, I don't. Well, how is that on my big screen when wasn't that on the flash? Comparatively, and I'm not saying you shouldn't love it. This is not me saying it sucks or anything like that. But you can do your own research when it comes to the CW. So them having those universes out there, they could have had 10,000 Flashes and 2 million Supermans on a network that nobody's watching. It doesn't matter to the big screen. You know, the cinematic versions of these characters just does it. And why they had that stupid ass rule back in the day where you can't have this over here because it's over there. Wait a minute. People are watching this and nobody's watching that comparatively. So what did you have that rule for? So no, I'd have to disagree with that rule. How about the cat? Yeah, we were saying that before. So
Why did you bring that up?
What? Oh well, I'm bringing up his comment, but geez, I just looked at the thumbnail. Yeah, you're gonna have to change that thumbnail, dude. Just bringing
change that name too.
The bringing up the well, I don't have to pronounce the name, but the thumbnail to bring up, unless I just don't bring up his question and just read it. Yeah, please change that, or I'm gonna have to I don't want to ban you because your questions are valid, but that's kind of vulgar and inappropriate. That's another thing because we don't know about that alien. Remember that alien just keeps walking out of there and tossing his little baby aliens in the incinerator. Like, what's that all about? So yeah, I mean, but yeah, Mighty Rex. That's to me. These are things that are given. Well, like I said, guys. I mean, listen. I loved Raised by Wolves, right? Not enough people were watching Raised by Wolves to keep it going. That's a reality I have to accept. There was no conspiracy. There was no this and that. It was the fact that, you know, the people who made it even told you we just didn't have the audience. The people who wanted to continue are like, you know what, we just don't have the audience to do this. You know, so not everything that you love is loved by everybody. Thinks that though. Everybody thinks, well, because you grew up with it, you watched it, that everybody else watched it. People, Batman Beyond. Wow, why isn't there a Batman this or that? Because you know what? If there were that kind of audience that you guys think there was, it would have happened already. These greedy fucks siphon the life out of everything that they can to make $1. If there were money there, if there were an audience there, it would have been happening, especially with Batman. But there's a lot of reasons why, you know, A, that audience wasn't as big as everybody thinks it. B, if it ain't Bruce Wayne, you ain't doing it. People can lie to themselves and say, well, but this isn't, no. And then they can say, well, Miles Morales. No, because they did the work with Miles Morales. They did the work building up. There still isn't a Miles Morales live action because the work is still being done. But over the last 13, 14 years, 15 years, they have done the work to bring in the awareness of Miles Morales to everyone. Whether you're watching him on a movie, a video game, a comic book, Miles Morales, you have more of a justification because people have seen him. He has been on the big screen twice now. He's on video. He's on a widely popular video game. So more people have seen these things than are watching these tiny little networks that have no viewership. So, remember, in order for the CW to form, you took two failing networks, the WB and UPN. There were two failing networks that merged. So the network was built on basic failure. Now, it had some hits. I mean, fucking Riverdale. Wasn't Riverdale on that channel? Riverdale lasted forever. Mm-hmm. And what was the other one that was like, has those conventions? The
Supernatural?
Yeah, dude, that's a hit for them. But a network can't survive on that. So, yeah, sorry. Let's see. William, what if Baby White Alien is Baby White Martian? What's that? Nobody knows who that is. See, I know who you're talking about, Music Man, but every time somebody brings up the White Martian, nobody knows who that is. I don't think he's going to. If you did a cameo of the White Martian, I'm going to be like, it's going to be me in a room full of people. I got to explain who the fuck he is. It's like, William, and they're always looking at me too, because I'm the fucker with the lightning bolt on his chest. You're the comic guy. Who is it? I didn't. So I don't think it's going to be I don't. When you're doing a needle moving cameo, it should be to the point where everybody, even there's a lot of comic book people who are not familiar with that character. That's different with Thanos. Thanos was different. Half of us knew who he was, and the other half didn't. But trust me, it only took 3 or 4 minutes for a character of that magnitude to be explained in my theater. So, yeah, I mean, most people only want Bruce Wayne Batman. Batman's a little bit different. I feel this is a problem with the movies because the superhero genre, you have to make a case to release something when most of our cinema. Well, that's the difference between the two. See, you're talking about something that is being adapted. So when you're adapting something, you play by those adaptation rules for the most part, or else you're wasting your time because it's not recognizable as the thing you're adapting. When you're talking about other cinema, other original IPs, there are no rules to follow. So the comparisons they're two different things completely. One of them has to have that aspect to it. Otherwise, why are you adapting it? And the other one you're comparing it to does not. Let's see. How you doing, Antonio Baker? What's going on? Gotham is worse than a lot of things, most things I've seen. I think Gotham's horrible. Titans is bad, but it's fun. I got joy out of watching Titans. Gotham was just something I did because I figured I was obligated. As soon as I could get distracted from Gotham, I did. Whether it's Titans, there's a lot. Don't get me wrong. Do not come at me trying to make these 10-point conversations about Titans being the greatest. It's not. Titans, there was a lot of shit in Titans that was stupid. Like I said, the Wonder Girl dying the way she did was almost as dumb as Talia's death in Dark Knight Rises, if not dumber. They couldn't stick the last two episodes. As you're going in the last 2 episodes of any episode of Titans, you're like, ah, shit. How are they going to get to the top of the roller coaster and just completely go off the rails? And up to a point, they never failed me there. But Gotham, I people like Gotham, I'm more proud to, I hate that show. And it got worse in my opinion as I came in out of it, especially the last season of Gotham. I think that's unwatchable, but that's just my opinion. And that Batman at the end, that, like I said, if you want my thoughts of Gotham as a series, that last couple minutes where that Temu Batman costume, that was bad. So I think so, but other people disagree. It did it, yeah, but I don't think it started out that way. I think it became, if I'm not wrong, Aaron, I think it became a co-Netflix production after they bought the syndication, not syndication, but they bought the rights to air it afterwards because it was still on the air when they did that. So, but I could be wrong. It's like the case for Marvel fans kept making about why it was wrong to introduce Batman and DCU. That's not an adaptation. That's a decision. But you're still talking about in both cases, Fourth, you're talking about the adaptation of a known IP that comes with rules. Captain America has a shield. He's American. The Black Panther is from Wakanda. But there are certain things that that are associated with those characters that with a independent IP, just a regular cinematic movie, you do not have to worry about. With those, you're talking about the same thing. You're just talking about people who couldn't make a determination between the decisions of one adaptation in a company and the other. But they're both comic book IPs that had to a certain extent. Once you put them on the screen, they were going to be what they were going to be. Let's see. What up, DC Soldier? Please defend Gotham. Hey, listen, guys, if you like Gotham, I'm not knocking you. I thought it was a dreadful show. I thought it was dreadful. It was a horrible show. But if it brought you enjoyment, then continue to enjoy Gotham. I never want to see. I never want to open my eyes again and see Gotham on my screen. Okay, so now I know who this artist is. Someone else in the chat who shares the obsession with my pants. I checked out after Smallville and checked back in for Superman and Lois. I'll give anything Superman a chance. At what point? I'm curious, Jose. At what point did you check out of Smallville? Because you probably hung on tighter than I did. That's another show that a lot of people love. A lot of people will defend Smallville to their last molecule, and I just can't do it. But once again, if Smallville brought you joy, you are still welcome here. You know how I feel about that show, but you also know how I feel about the network. So. I didn't watch Gotham like that. I want the CW, but I didn't watch Gotham. I watched the CW. Oh, like you watched the CW. William, when I went to go see the Batman in theaters, they showed the DC sizzle reel before the film, and people in my theaters were confused about the universe that was filmed in. That's because you had poor management. I said that too. I remember what I said before. I always say when if there's confusion, there's one of two things wrong. Somebody's an idiot. Either it's the storyteller or the fan. It's usually not the fan.
Well, it definitely was not the fan in this case.
In this case, it was the people who controlled the content not doing a good enough job explaining it and making their case for it.
Or doing a job about it at all, I would say.
They had plenty of time to establish this, and they did not. That doesn't mean that it can't be done. That just means it has to be done right when it is. That's all. If there's confusion with your audience about that particular situation, in my opinion, heads need to roll and people need to be replaced. And ultimately they were. But now if you're James Gunn and you're reintroducing it, it is your job. You literally get paid to make this work. Right now, Scott Snyder is got a story that he's working on across DC Comics that it has the potential to be the most confusing thing ever. It's not because of the way he presents it. His storytellers are doing their job. They are telling the story and they are giving you the context. I'm sorry that happened, but that was bad management. Good management could probably do the same exact thing and come out with better results. And the Batman ultimately made a good amount of money, despite anybody who may have been confused. I like the CW because those shows actually gave people a fandom that they did not watch, which was why those shows and those characters have a chance of being movies. Nah, I'm sorry, Antonio, I can't go. The recognition that those characters have, they would have had it without the CW. you know who Superman is without the CW. You know, if you don't know who the Flash is, globally, as far as a cinematic audience, then you're going to find out when he's on the screen. Most people saw the Flash live action on a movie screen for the, as a fact, the only time. And that's going to be even the old show that came out in 1990. Most people, more people are going to see it there. So it didn't matter that, you know, that show, I mean, was on there. What else? What else could we give up? Supergirl. People are going to know who Supergirl is with or without that show. So those characters have a chance because of the history of those characters have. I don't think the CW did anything for those characters' existence on cinematic screen. I'm sorry. Man, I'm going to get all kinds of fucking hate in this goddamn. William hates cartoons. No, I don't. William hates the CW. No, I just don't have any regard for it. William hates it. No, I explained myself, guys. I can't really fight you on that. Because there were moments where it was like, well, wow. And it was some high budget terrible too sometimes. They actually spent the money. Hawk and Dove, they spent money on those costumes. Hawk and Dove look exactly like they did in the comics. I think it was an awful show. But hey, listen, you guys, there are plenty of things we discuss on this channel. You guys love it, and I look at it like, ugh. And that is, ugh. Yeah, that was the commercial that they used to sell that show. Because remember, that show wasn't supposed to be anything big. That show was to get you to buy the DC United app or whatever shit was at the time. That and Doomsday and Swamp Thing. Those are the 3 core shows that were supposed to be, because there was no HBO Max at the time. HBO Max wasn't a thing when that universe came about. And there was no discussions about merging the two until HBO came out. And then they financially figured, okay, why don't we just fold up all this? Because I like the DC. I think it was DC Infinite app. They still have the app now, but back when then, you could have every DC comic like you have now, but you had every DC show was on there. And then they had the brand new ones, which was to get you, it was like $7-8 for the app, right? And they produced that show on what they were making from that app. And that app actually did pretty well, but it was redundant once HBO Max, they saw what HBO Max was doing because they didn't really think this out. So, but yeah, they used that commercial. I remember that commercial. And they were like, where's Batman? He's like, fuck Batman. They were like, ooh, it's edgy. And like I said, it was, it had its issues. I'm not going to tell you, but it had it. Dude, the Deathstroke, Isai Morales, as Deathstroke, that was a good story arc. He was really good as Dead. And his son, what happened to his son? They portrayed that. The problem with Titans is they would give you a 3-year story arc and jam it into like 20 minutes. And you could tell that it was being jammed. The Jason Todd Red Hood shit, yeah, all of that happened, and that's why he's back. But he's Robin here 2 episodes ago. He's dead the next episode, and then he's Red Hood. I'm like, okay, how can I really feel this? But it was a fun ride. I didn't think the show was going to last at all. So it's like, hey. Some YouTuber made the Batman in black and white. It looks fantastic. I watched the whole movie that way. I'm surprised they didn't release the Batman in black and white. Oh, I'm surprised that more movies don't do that, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of detail that that you can see in black and white that you don't see. Stargirl is the best TV series live action. Are we saying for the CW or what? I need some context there.
Never watched it, so I couldn't say.
I watched it. It was all right, but it wasn't, a lot of people tuned out because of it. It was, like I said, a dying network.
Yeah, that happens when 18 got it for Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, Doom Patrol, whatever you want to say about Titans, and it's probably true. You can't say that. Doom Patrol was excellent.
Oh, and Swamp Thing, man. It's like it got 1 episode in and said, yeah, we're pulling the plug.
The way they did it, it had to happen. The way they did it was shitty. Because of the numbers and the way that tax break with the amount that you couldn't do that show. The way they handled it was kind of shitty. because what they should have done with Swamp Thing is they should have folded it into the budget of the things that they were tailing off. Like you could have had Doom Patrol because it's Vertigo. You could have had they could have done. I don't know exactly what they could have done, but I just wish they had done it that way because I watched that show. It was a good show, but nobody watched it after they realized it was being canceled. But yeah, Doom Patrol was brilliant. And they got some high, dude. It's on a fucking $7-8 app, and you had what's his face? Brendan Fraser was in that show. I think
Great comeback, Brendan Fraser.
Wasn't Timothy Dalton was in that show? Dude, you had some high end people that were in that show, and they kept a lot of those people. That show was brilliant, and that show started on a little shitty app, and then crossed over and got its other 2 years. On HBO Max, so things like that happened, but you don't get Titans. You can say people can say what they want about it. Like I said, it's probably all true. Titans actually got viewers when HBO Max consolidated the DC Infinite app. They checked the numbers on it. They gave it 2 more seasons. And same thing with Doom, because if you were watching Doom Patrol, remember Doom Patrol came from Beast Boy. It was a crossover called Doom Patrol, and that they got introduced in Titans. Because that was his original group before he left and became part of Titans. So you're introduced to them there. So yeah, they had a combined audience. People watched Titans. They may not have always liked what they saw. Hey, like I said, I have no war to fight with you there. But I had fun with Titans. It's guilty pleasure is what I call Titans. Let's see, Gotham as a whole was horrible. I thought so. Differing opinions. Okay, statewide it was DW. Okay, let's see. We're about to wrap this. Let's see. Stargo's a kitty. Well, I mean, you got to look where it's coming from. I was thinking that Joga in real time. Maybe because I was biased and I'm a hardcore comic book geek. I really, and the people who they would bring into that show was like, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm like, come on. I can't be honest about how Titans jammed everything into one little square and then look at you. What are you doing in Smallville? What are you doing in Smallville? It's like, and then you're not even a good version of what you are. The dark side thing was, like I said, just like the Batman costume at the end of Gotham. The smoke monster.
Oh no!
Was literally that's all you need to know about that show.
Draw the line at that. You will not compare that. You will not compare that to that weak ass.
That soft.
Compare this to that horrible suit.
Let's try to be Superman, but let's make it.
You will not liken anything to that horrible suit.
Let's make it soft.
I'm kicking you. I'm kicking you off your own show. You will not liken anything to that horrible suit on the show. I'm kicking William off his own show. He said his blasphemy. No, I'm taking over the Sci-Fi Center in perpetuity now. Rad Universal. Oh yeah, I saw this. And I might have something you guys might enjoy reading coming up pretty soon relating to this, actually, because this series is just so off the handle at this point. Pull that back up. When you're still mute. You're still mute, man.
No, you dumbass muted me.
No, you muted yourself. I tried to unmute you and you wouldn't let me. It's seen the Tron movies. Yeah, so they're unsure. Yeah. Well, it's probably, well, here's what it is. Is like, I mean, he had the big, announcement he did. It's like, oh, we're like, Universal said to me, can we please have it by this date? And it's like, yeah, that's a lot of PR spend.
Oh, by this kind of that budget too. That budget was not happening.
Yeah, that budget was like, it costs like, and then, like after tax, they got a tax rebate. It was like $378, but like before, the like total expenditure was like $450, and then like the net budget ended up being, once I got the tax rebate back for filming in the UK, and it was like $378. That's still way too much for this, especially with what it's not at the high point box office wise it used to be. It was their peak was Fast and Furious 7 when they did like 1.5 billion, and now they're kind of more in the 700 range. But that's still really good, but it's, you can't spend 378 on to get 700 back. So they want to like trim down the budget and say, okay. And as others have pointed out, it's like, yeah, you're going to take it back to like the car street racing culture of the first one. It's like, well, think about how like the last one ended with like all the cliffhangers and the dam's gonna like explode right in front of Dom and the sun and the Rock's back, you know, Gall's back. Yeah, it's so great. So I have something. Yeah, you guys might enjoy reading coming up pretty soon here, or pertaining to that. I'll just leave it at that.
I will have to respectfully disagree with you, Bill. I'm sorry. I can't go with you there.
Well, I mean, the jury. I mean, I'm going to need to see the Batman suit, whatever that's going to look like. And so, I mean, it can't be worse than that for a suit.
Fucking Creatures Commandos is better than Gotham.
Well, no, because that's silhouette and animation. I mean, it's like that's not hard to outdo. That Spirit Halloween costume we got at the end.
Oh yeah, I had the app. I love that app, but I knew when HBO Max is coming, I'm like, wait a minute, this is not going to make much sense, no matter how much I love this. Let's see.
Do you like any of the Fast and Furious movies, man? I'm kind of curious.
Not really. I don't hate them. There are levels of watchability, but I think for the most part.
Well, because I mean, I think this is kind of the consensus for a lot of people. I mean, certainly for me, is the middle three, 5, 6, 7. That's really that's where they really hit their stride. And then they've had one after 7. They have had one really strong entry, which is Hobbs and Shaw. But so everything before Fast 5 is just kind of forgettable to me. And then everything since then, other than Hobbs and Shaw, everything since then has just been like, this is just Looney Tunes on wheels now.
Doom Patrol was awful, too weird. The whole point was they were weird. The whole point of Doom Patrol was that it was weird. Dude, it was like they understood that comic and what Vertigo was doing with them, because that Doomsday that you see there, or Doom Patrol that you see there, is the Vertigo version of it. And I thought they did a great job. But hey, like I said, everybody's different.
I really wish this talks about like this is all like before my YouTube life started. I really wish I could have been on the vodka stream that where they were like talking about Fast 9 when that came out, because it's so hilarious, like watching people.
I remember watching Scott. Scott was on the tearing that movie.
Yeah, because it's so far. Of course, that's the one where they go to space, and that is, I mean, that's like that's. I mean, there's a whole new level of like jumping the shark doesn't cover it for like where the series is now. It's like it's like. We might need to like invent a new term. Like they also had like nuking the fridge from Indiana Jones. That means
that to me, I was done with that movie when that happened. When he gets out there and he grabs his hat, and I go, "Whoa! I survived that, dude, motherfucker! You are dead." But dude, I understand.
What would be like a good Fast and Furious term for like the equivalent to that? I don't like launching the car or something.
The missile when they were riding on all the shit, dude, all the shit. Yeah, Doom Patrol versus Thunderbolt. Okay, this isn't fair because Thunderbolt, I only had 2 hours to assess for what I got in those 2 hours. I love that movie. That's one of my favorite Marvel movies. Doom Patrol, I had 4 years, and I had a lot of characters like Jane, Crazy Jane. What's her face from Orange is the New Black? Who played her? It was a brilliant actress in that. Everybody in that show did their best work in that show, in my opinion. Brendan Fraser was great. I mean, I had time to grow with those characters. I only had 2 hours with the Thunderbolts, but I loved them though. Like I said, that scene in Thunderbolts where Bob is fighting the Void, and as he's fighting the Void, he's being consumed by the Void, and they all break out, and she puts her arms around him, and they all do that, and they just keep telling him he's not alone. That's one of the most well executed scenes in a comic book movie I've seen in a very long time. So, Tokyo Drift. Well, Justice for Han, whatever.
It was like supposed to be beautiful, like whooshy martial art. Had me reaching my TV for my TV off button, huh? Well, I haven't seen Tokyo Drift, and that's the weird thing about Tokyo Drift is that was kind of the throwaway movie at one point. Then that became kind of like the pivotal one. They keep like retconning. Okay, this happened when like Han was supposedly killed, kind of stuff in there.
Nobody really died. Everybody's back.
Yeah, because everybody keeps. You can't trust anybody stays dead in this franchise.
And even the guy that is really dead in real life, they're gonna bring him back too.
That was one of Vin Diesel's conditions. Like he said, okay, we're taking it back to L.A. We're going back to the car culture, and now we're gonna reunite Brian. And I'm sure I have no doubt if one of two things is gonna happen with that. It's either gonna be they're gonna bring in one of his brothers to take on the Brian O'Connor role, or they're going to say, well, okay, well now we got to like break out, the AI for
No,
this.
I think they'll do. I think they'll do. I think they'll do.
You think they'll actually have like his
yeah.
brothers in? Because that would be
Oh,
man, that would ruffle some feathers if they used AI for that.
yeah, that was my favorite scene of the whole movie, and the score that they used. Well, you guys are talking with each other, okay? Yeah, I like Thunderbolts, but once again, I knew it wasn't going to do well. I mean, it did okay at the box office, but it's like Suicide Squad. You
Did it
can't
lose
when
money?
you go to the big screen. I think it broke even. I think it broke even. I don't think it lost any. I think any of Marvel's movies really lost any money.
Well, the Marvels did. That bombed really hard.
Yeah, but who knows how many people watched it on PVOD? Because I know people who liked that movie. I didn't think that movie was that good. I didn't want to see anything from the Marvels.
It's better than the first one, which is it's better than the first one, which is, and that's not saying much. But
well, it's a weak sequel too, because it's not really. It is a sequel because obviously she's in it, but really, it's like an entirely different element.
Well, the thing about it, I mean, part of its downfall too, as a lot of other people have said, is that it was this team assembly movie where the Marvels. It was kind of like selling you on the idea of like this is like the trio you've been waiting to see like get together all the and it's you one who's been in a couple of movies at that point, very successful ones, but one of them's theatrical.
Not because of her.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also like Avengers. I'm sorry, Brie Larson, great actress, Academy Award winner, but those movies, you were there, you right place, right time. You didn't. Yeah. She acted.
I would say she was miscast. I would say she was miscast.
Well, that she was misscripted too, because the cardboard attitude of Carol Danvers was something that has been written into her character before, but there are other versions of that character where she's way more charismatic, and they just didn't do it.
Again, you had that dude, she's in successful movies, but again, she's not like a breakout character. Everybody's just latched onto, and then you had two others who were in Disney Plus shows of varying levels of viewership that we don't have the full picture for. I mean, I will say, Iman Vellani, as Kamala Khan, she's the best thing about that movie. I really like her as Kamala Khan. I hope we do see more of her.
Oh, I think she's a definite for coming up. Not America Chavez, which she just fucking disappeared. Like everything else with Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness has disappeared.
So yeah, I hope we see more of Iman Vellani. I could care less if we see more of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
I mean, but like I said, how you found a way to tell a story about Thanos and those particular characters, and you found a way not to properly use Adam Warlock? How you can't tell that story without him? How did he literally? Jim Starlin should have been like, "Damn it!" And then he just took the check and said, "Never mind." Oh. All right, guys. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. We got all of our Peacemaker predictions out of the way. Now all that's left is to watch the episode and have some fun with it. If you know what's going to happen before, I don't need to hear from you. It's not going to ruin it for me, but don't do anything. I mean, and try not to ruin it for your fellow geek. By the way, guys, at 6:00 when it airs, you don't have to get on the internet and fuck it up for everybody. That's an option. That's a you thing. You by 6:05, a lot of people are gonna do it. If there's a major cameo and you're watching the show, you don't have to. There are people that are working. There are people that are doing things.
There are people like me who are in
have a night job, teaching class, doing life stuff. You don't have to do that. That's an option you can forego. You don't. What are you getting a ribbon? What are you like a dog? When if I have two dogs and I toss the treat, you get it first. You eat.
It's FOMO. It's FOMO. It's fear of missing out. So you once the big reveal happens, everybody wants to be part of the discussion of it. The discussion can wait. You can all still be part of that discussion, but it doesn't have to come at the cost of some poor sap that now he has to stay off the internet because we don't have the discipline. Well, he shouldn't get on the internet. No, you should be an asshole. Okay, that's the bigger person. Fourth 1,000 for $5. They should just say they have an AI version of Paul Walker's brain and upload it into Vin Diesel's. And that's seriously. This is
don't
totally
say that too loud.
Well, this is totally consistent with this series, if nothing else. I think a way they might do is time travel. They might
No, stop it. I can't deal with that. Even if I never see it, I cannot deal with that. The dial death. No, stop it. William, I'm arguing with the internet. No, I'm arguing with people's why are you doing that? You're not going to miss. There are going to be plenty of conversation to talk about with a couple hours from that. Like, please give it 3 or 4 hours. I think the stupid thing with Luke Skywalker. I didn't listen, dude. You know how I feel about being stuck in the Skywalker spiral for my entire life, and Lucasfilm and everybody else being afraid to move on from the Skywalkers. But that was something special for those people who clutched the Skywalker pearls, and they fucked it up for people. So yeah. Oh well. I guess, like I said, it may be a losing battle, but I'm just hoping, because, like I said, you're not going to ruin it for me. Because to me, it's about executing. It's not the who and the where and the what. It's how you execute it. But there are some people who want to be entertained tomorrow or later on tonight. So kind of like, damn,
No, this would probably like drive that budget up even more for the next Fast and Furious.
Now, listen, guys, I'm gonna take over the world, and I'm banning stories about time travel if you can't do it right. We're gonna have to have a committee. We're gonna have like a committee. We're gonna have a committee, and you're gonna have, before you make a time travel movie, you have to hand in your script to the committee, and we gotta get the people from Star Trek. We gotta get the people from everybody. And if it's stupid, we can't do it.
But that's the whole. There's nothing too stupid for the Fast Dog at this point. They have transcended stupidity. They've transcended absurdity. That's like they can literally get away with anything now. There's gonna be dinosaurs, time travel.
No, that will be the end of the franchise once they start doing stupid shit like that. I mean, like I said, the stuff that they're doing now is somewhat. Once you start time traveling, like if I see the fucking DeLorean in Fast and Furious, then I'm gonna know that we're 3 movies past where it should have ended.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people would argue we are, because I mean, Fast and Furious.
Well, that's just based on the non-whimsical shit. Because, like I said, you're dodging cruise missiles with a car. That's not happening in any walkabout camp. All right, tomorrow night, 11:30, we will be watching. I will be rewatching it with you because I will have already seen it, but I promise you I won't fuck it up for you. Do the best you can if you want to be truly entertained and be with the flow of it. And you want to watch it live and not have things. Watch it at 6 p.m. I would suggest that you watch it wherever you're at live and stay off the internet for at least that 54 minutes. But once you're done watching it, don't get on the internet and jam it up for somebody. Let them be part of that conversation afterwards. I mean, so that's what I hope happens, but I know it won't. So have a good morning, everyone. That's all I got. Please like, subscribe. If you are one of the many people that are half of you that are watching on Twitter, X, Bird, whatever the hell it is, youtube.com, right under our big heads there, youtube.com/@the Sci-Fi Center. That is the base, home base where the channel is built on YouTube. So join us there, become permanent members, like, subscribe, share, and we will see you for Peacemaker later on this evening.
You guys.
Bye.